You've probably heard the terms public company and private company a million times. But what's the real legal difference between them? It's not just about being big or famous. Today, we're going to crack the code on the specific rules that set them apart. And trust me, the answer is a little weird. So what is the real difference? You might think it's all about size or brand recognition, but it's not. The distinction is actually rooted deep in company law, and the official starting point is, well, surprisingly unhelpful. Get ready for this. According to the UK Companies Act, a private company is any company that is not a public company. I mean, seriously, that's the official definition. It's kind of like defining cold as just not hot. So what this really means is if we want to figure out what a private company is, we first have to understand what makes a company public. Okay, so this whole situation sets the stage for a little story, a tale of two companies. The law is super specific about what makes a company public, laying out a whole bunch of rules. And a private company, well, it's basically just whatever's left over. So it really boils down to this simple idea. A public company gets a clear, positive definition. It is this, it must do that. But a private company, nope. It's just defined by what it isn't. You could say it's the default setting. So officially, the law just says a public company is one that, well, states that it's a public company on its certificate of incorporation. But hold on, it's not that simple. You can't just tick a box and call it a day. To get that statement on your certificate, you have to meet some pretty tough, very specific requirements first. All right, so let's dig into that blueprint. To become a public limited company, or a PLC, as you've probably heard, you've got to follow a really strict game plan. The bar is set way, way higher. And this game plan really comes down to clearing three main hurdles. You've got to have the right name, the right amount of capital, and the right leadership in place. First up, the easy one, the name. Your company's official registered name has to end with Public Limited Company or just the letters PLC. It's like a big, clear label that tells the whole world, hey, this is a public company you're dealing with. Okay, so once the name is sorted, we move on to the really big stuff. This is where we start to see the huge gap between public and private companies, and it's all about the money and the leadership. Let's talk about the money first. To go public, a company needs a minimum of £50,000 in allotted share capital. £50,000. Now get this, a private company can be started with just £1, a single share. So we're talking about a massive, massive jump. And next, leadership. The law, specifically Section 154, says a public company needs to have at least 2 directors. And a private company, it can get by with just 1. So again, it's double the requirement. You're starting to see a pattern here. Okay, let's just see this laid out clearly side by side. For a private company, all you need is 1 director and £1. Super simple. For a public one, you need at least 2 directors and £50,000. You can see right away that the barrier to entry, that initial hurdle, is just in a completely different league. So you're probably thinking, man, that is a lot of extra hassle, right? More money up front, more people on the board, more formalities. So why on earth would anyone do it? What's the big prize for jumping through all of these hoops? Well, the prize is huge. And that brings us to what I like to call the billion-dollar superpower. Because when you clear all those hurdles, you unlock this incredible game-changing ability, something that private companies are, by law, completely forbidden from even trying. And here it is, the big one, the power to offer your company's shares to the public. This means you can raise money from literally anyone and everyone who wants to invest. This is the whole ballgame. And just so we're absolutely crystal clear, the law spells it out. Section 755 of the Companies Act flat out forbids private companies from offering their securities to the public. For them, it's a dead end. That door is shut and locked. So, what does this superpower actually get you? Well, it unlocks the potential for insane growth. You can raise massive amounts of cash through what's known as an initial public offering, or an IPO. And with that cash, you can fund huge new projects, expand all over the world, or wipe out your debts. It is the rocket fuel for scaling a business. But, with great power comes great complexity. And that leads us to our final section. Having access to all that public money means you're taking on a whole new level of responsibility and, frankly, a whole lot more rules. It's a really simple trade-off when you think about it. If you're going to take money from the general public, from your neighbor, from your grandma, from anyone, then you've got to play by a stricter set of rules.
There's way more regulation and way more scrutiny, all to make sure those investors are protected.
So here it is, the final trade-off all laid out. You go private, you get simplicity, lower requirements, less red tape. But you can't ask the public for cash. You go public, you face higher hurdles and a ton more rules, but, and it's a big but, you get access to the public markets and all that capital. It's a huge strategic choice. Do you want simplicity or do you want scale? And that brings us to the final question, and this one's for you to think about. Knowing what you know now about the higher bar, the stricter rules, but also that incredible superpower of raising public money, if you were building a business from the ground up, which way would you go? Would you choose the simpler path of a private company, or would you aim for the massive growth potential of going public? What's your move?